Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Styles UK YouTube channel for another Friday lunchtime live. We weren't live last Friday because we were, of course, at Print, one of our biggest European trade show events. It was very, very successful and we loved meeting all of you and seeing you play with the machines, test out the transfers, use all of the products that we had on the stand, and some people discovering our Styles Hotronics brand for the first time. So that was great as well. Trade shows are always one of my favorite things because people get to actually touch and see and feel all of the products rather than just see us demonstrating them on camera. So if you do want to come out to the next trade show that we're doing, it will be on February the 24th, I want to say, 24th to 27th, I think are the dates. Next weekend in Birmingham at the NEC is the Printwear and Promotion live show. We are, of course, going. We're attending. We're going to have one of the biggest and best booths there. It's going to be fantastic. I got a sneak peek at the booth when we were in Print and it looks fantastic. So I'm super excited for all of our UK customers to come along and see the new stand, play with all of the new products, and of course we will be bringing the brand new ProPlace IQ. So if you want to be one of the very first people, literally very first people in the UK to get your hands on the ProPlace IQ and use it for the first time, then you need to come to this event. It's going to be fantastic. But that is not why we are here today. We're going to be talking all about something a little bit different. We're touching levers today. So this is something we talk about a lot at Styles UK. It's something that majority of our customers do in terms of making profit for their business and expanding their customer base. And it's one of the most profitable things you can do as a garment decorator with your heat press. So today we're going to show you how you can achieve Leavers hoodies without using heat transfer vinyl. So the most typical way that people used to do Leavers hoodies was with heat transfer vinyl. And if you can imagine, that's particularly difficult because there's so many names and so many different pieces of detail within that number 21, 22, 23, and now 24, that would just take forever to weed. It's not profitable. It just eats up all of your time. It's boring. It's not enjoyable. And that's just not the way to do levers anymore. The way to do levers now and in 2024, well, for the last few years, but definitely for this year, is to use what we call a heat transfer. Now, I'm using a screen printed heat transfer today. These happen to be the most popular kind because they are best for jobs that have between 1 and 5 single block colors. So this is a white screen print transfer, which is probably why you can't really see. Oh, there we go. I just hit the angle right so you could see the text on that. Hopefully Instagram can see as well. So there is actually a design on here, a levers design, if you can see it. And we're going to show you how to print this today. But the best thing about screen printed heat transfers is that they do come ready to be pressed. So there's no weeding involved here. You literally upload your artwork to our EasyView online design system. We print this using our machinery, which literally is just behind this wall. You can probably hear it if I go quiet and my mic picks it up for a little bit. And then we ship them out to you ready to be pressed. So in today's video, we're going to show you what happens once you've placed your order, once your orders arrive like so, and when you're ready to print. So let's jump in straight away to that. So I will go over how to get hold of the free artwork template. I know a lot of you know that we do always provide free levers artwork every single year to make it easier for you to get started, quicker for you to just run the process through. So I will be letting you know where you can find that, but you have to stay tuned till the end of the live for that. So first things first, we're going to be taking our hoodie. Now this is, I believe this is one of our faves. It's the JH001. These are one of the most popular hoodies for levers from Just Hoods, and it's a fantastic blue color. I absolutely love this one. It's one of my favorites. Now today I'm going to be showing you how you can print multiple locations on this as well. So we're of course going to show you how to print the back because that's the most important when it comes to levers, the big number with all of the students' names inside of it. But then I'm also going to show you how you can add the school badge onto the front of it, as well as an inside tag neck label and even a little bit of personalization for each student as well. So that's really going to help increase your profit margins. But let's start simple. Let's start with the back print. So we're going to use the Hotronics Fusion IQ today. Now, the reason that I love this heat press for levers is because of the complete heat-free workspace that we have here. So it makes it super easy for you to lay out all of your transfer designs on here without worrying about them being slightly wonky, or you getting too hot under the press if it's a clam, for example. Because if you're printing Leavers hoodies, chances are you're printing 100 to 200 minimum if you've got the job of a school, because if, say, there's 30 kids per class, times that by 6, even if you're doing a couple of year groups, there's going to be a lot of hoodies. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable when working. Now, I am going to have to turn my back to you, apologies, but I'm threading the t-shirt on. I'll try and do it sideways so you can see what I'm doing. So isolating the print area is something that's super easy to do with the Hotronix Fusion IQ because it has built-in threadability. Now, for those of you that have been heat printing for a little while, you'll probably know what threadability is already. For those of you that are joining us new and you are getting started in the world of heat printing, I'll explain it for you. So threadability is basically where you can have the top layer of the garment on the platen and the bottom layer hanging underneath. Can I actually see that on the camera if I prop that too high?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good. There's a bottom layer, just about, bottom layer underneath. So that means you're not putting both layers of the hoodie, so like this, for example, just onto the heat press like that and printing on there. We don't want to do this because it's not going to give us an accurate result. It's not going to be a very high quality, and it probably won't last the 75+ wash guarantee that we give you with all of our heat transfers if they're applied correctly. I always like to say that at the end, because if you apply it wrong and it doesn't last 75+ washes, that's not on us, that's on you, I'm afraid. So make sure to always thread your garments. So separate the top and the bottom layer, or front and back layer even, I should say. Thread it on. And with the Fusion IQ, you get threadability as standard. So wherever you have this heat press, whether it's on a tabletop or on a caddy stand equipment cart like we've got here, it's threadable straight away. So you can see here it all sits underneath. If you do have an auto open heat press or a max climb heat press, you can make these heat presses threadable with either a caddy stand or a counter caddy. These are additional purchases with the heat press, but if you are purchasing the bundles, then they come with them anyway. 100% something I would recommend you have, because it's just an essential for all of the heat presses that we have here. So that's step number 1. Load the garment on, make sure you've isolated the layer. The next step is to pre-press it. And the second reason I like to pre-press, other than removing creases and moisture, so we're just going to give it a nice, clean, flat surface ready for our print. But this also gives us an opportunity to check the pressure of the heat press. And this is something that I have done wrong on multiple occasions. You get a bit carried away, a bit too excited to put the transfer down, and the pressure's wrong. You scorch the garment, or it's too light and the transfer comes off, which we have done multiple times, intently and not intentionally. So we're just going to give it a 5-second pre-press here. So if we pull this down, I can see that my pressure's on an 8, so that's way too high. So I'm just going to bring it down slightly. Try again. That's on a 2, so now that's too light. So I'm just going to bring it down a bit. Hopefully this will be a happy medium. It's on a 3. Just give it a teeny nudge now, and we're good. Perfect, now we're on a 5. So, lesson from that one, the pressure for any form of heat press or a Hotronix is between 4 and a 6. This is what we call medium pressure. If it's below that, then your pressure isn't going to be high enough, and chances are your transfer won't adhere properly. If your pressure is too high, you may scorch and mark the garment. You might cause a bit of the adhesive on the back of the transfer to come out because you're squishing it too hard. You don't need to really force the transfer into the garment. You're buying the world's #1 heat transfers. Providing you stick to the instructions, they will adhere perfectly to the garment. So now that we've pre-pressed our garment and everything is ready for the transfer, it's time to apply. Now, when we place our Leavers transfer, because this is a clear carrier, we can't really see when we just kind of go like that where the middle is. So what I'm going to do is just get the edges of my design that is centered. I'm just going to fold this piece of paper. I'm not touching or damaging the transfer, but I'm just going to create a little mark here at the front so that there's a slight dent in the paper. We good? Lovely. So that when I place this down onto my hoodie, I can see where the midpoint is. So especially because this is white ink, I can kind of see through it, but not enough that I would, trust the accuracy of my placement with it. The other tip I'll give you with Leavers is to make sure that the design is far enough down that when the hood flops down, it's not too near it that you can't see it.
Well, I'm just going to angle your camera angle down ever so slightly, just so everyone can get a good view of what you're doing.
Do you want me to wait until you've done that, or are you
just a tiny nudge?
Having a little adjustment?
That is
Perfect. Okay, so place the transfer down. Like I said, when the hood comes back down, you want to make sure that it's just, you can have it kind of coming over a little bit because, you know, it is a back print. You don't want it to be halfway down the hoodie, but I would recommend that you can see majority of the print. So that is the next step. Next step is release paper. Bear with me. There is a sheet over here. Now, screen printed heat transfers are a cold peel. Now, what this means is you have to wait for the transfer to go completely cold before you, Beth, sorry, can I get you to flick the screen background again? Because now I can't see where I'm gesturing.
Can't see what she's doing, bear with. There you go.
So what this means is you have to wait for the transfer to cool completely before you pull the carrier off. Now, when this heat press comes back up, there's a little bit of friction between the garment and the heating element. So you want to make sure that the only piece of paper that's being lifted is the extra piece of release paper, not your carrier. So that's why we're just going to place this over the transfer to protect it. Now, pushing it back under here, another thing I really like about the Fusion IQ for Leavers, and this is also the case with the auto open press as well, but you have got dual timers. So setting number 1, you've got your 5-second pre-press, and then once you've completed that, it will automatically switch to timer number 2, which is 10 seconds, which is the main press. So it just means that you don't have to manually adjust your time settings every time you do a preheat and then your actual application. It just makes it a lot quicker, a lot easier, a lot more efficient, which we're all about being efficient here. So that's another reason I just wanted to point out. And then the only difference really between the Fusion IQ and the Auto Open, they both have digital readout, they both have dual timers, they both have pressure readout, but the Fusion IQ has what we call the brain. So it stores all of your recipes, it reports all of your data back to your IQ system on your computer or your iPad, whatever you're using. And it is a brain, it's very, very smart, and it stores everything you could ever need to do with your heat press. The Auto Open doesn't have this, it does just have the time, temperature, and pressure readout, which in itself is a game changer for any garment decorator that hasn't had that on their heat press before. But if you do want to take it a step up, then the Fusion IQ control system is another great thing for that. So I'm just going to pull this down for the 10-second application. We know our pressure is accurate because we tested that with the pre-press. It's telling me that we're on 160 degrees, which is perfect for screen print transfers. And when it's done, it will beep to let us know that the fuse is complete. Like so, goes green, lift it up, and then we're going to pull this out. So removing the release paper because we don't need that anymore. And as you can see, it had curled slightly when it comes up. So that's a good thing that it wasn't the carrier that was doing that. Just leave that to the side. And then we are going to wait for this to cool down. So I'm going to pull it off the platen and just place it on a cool surface to the side. And then we'll be back to peel it in just a minute. Do we have any questions in the meantime, Beth?
We don't have anything yet, but for those that are late joining us, I can see we've had quite a few late joiners on Instagram. We're talking all things screen print Leavers hoodies today. We've had a lot of questions in the past about people spending a lot of time weeding HTV on hoodies. So if that is you, please drop a comment. Stop first of all. But drop us a comment with any questions that you might have about switching to heat transfers, and we're here today to answer that for you.
We are indeed. While we're waiting for that, I will touch on actually the hoodies that we've got on this rail here. So this is an example of basically the hoodie that we have just fused, which we're going to peel in a second. So this is your standard school Leavers design hoodie. But then another thing that you can do with this artwork template is create things like this. So this is well, apparently we went on a ski trip this year, but we've done an example for Styles UK, but it's a ski trip sort of, what would you call it? I'm trying to, what's the word when you go away and you bring something back as a...
Oh, a memento.
A memento, yes. That's the word I'm looking for.
A keepsake.
Yeah, so something along those lines. So if you are printing Leavers for schools, don't just stop at schools. Make sure that you ask them if there's any trips that they're going on. It doesn't have to be abroad ski trips. It could be a weekend away somewhere for lower school, or, you know, any sort of clubs that they have that they might want prints for. Anything that is, you know, happens annually, make sure that you can utilize this template. So lots of opportunities.
We've had a great question come in from Marcus on Instagram, and I think he might have answered his own question as well, which is great because he's very much in the know. How would you print a big logo on the center chest with the pocket on the front of the hoodie? So he's interested in avoiding pressing the hoodie.
I will cover that in just a second. So let me peel this, and then I will actually demonstrate that for you, because that was on my list of things to do today. So let's just peel this transfer. So this is almost completely cold. Right, so the one thing I always tell people with peeling is don't peel and stop halfway. You want to make sure that you just rip the transfer off, not aggressively. We don't need to be mean to the garment, but make sure that you're confident with it, just like that. Don't be afraid that half of it's not going to come off. If you have, or half of it's not going to stick, sorry. If you followed the application instructions, then everything will apply perfectly. There's no need to be afraid with the peel. It breaks my heart whenever I see people peel ultra colour halfway and then they get like a bit of a line across the middle, and I'm like, you've just ruined a perfectly good transfer. So that is the finished result for the back print. So as you can see, that literally took 10 seconds for us to achieve this result. I'm trying to get a good look at that. Look at that. I can't see what I'm doing for the Instagram one. Are we good?
Yeah, you're good.
So perfect result there. And this is an actual screen printed finish. So I know we didn't use screens, we didn't use all of the messy inks, and we didn't have a million different things happening at the same time. We had one piece of paper, one machine, and it took us 10 seconds. However, we use real plastisol inks. This is an actual screen printed finish. We just take all of the mess and all of the effort and faff and the cost out of it for you. So it's a much more efficient and affordable way to print screen printed things. And it takes the weeding out, which is, you know, one of the main things.
Suresh has just popped up on Instagram and asked, is that a screen print transfer? But that was right before you just started that spiel about it being screen print.
Perfect,
so you've just answered that, which is perfect.
That was perfect timing. So yes, screen printed finish, and it is one of my favorite transfer types. I know that we do a lot of promotion around full color transfers, especially with DTF now. There are so many different things you can achieve with full color, you know, photorealistic finishes, unlimited detail, blends, gradients, all of that. But there is something about a 1 or 2 color print on a t-shirt that's just got that classic look, classic finish, and it will never fade. It has such a lovely feel to it. It's so soft. It really does feel like part of the garment. So that is how we achieve the back print. Now, we've done this 1,000,001 times on videos before. I know we keep doing it, but it's important to keep reiterating the message. However, let's move on to the front of the hoodie. Now, based on the question that we had on Instagram, this hoodie itself does have a pocket on the front. So we want to make sure that we're avoiding that. There are 2 ways you can go about doing this. Now, was the question full front prints on a hoodie?
Yes, so it's front print, avoiding the pocket.
Avoiding the pocket. Okay,
yeah.
So I'm assuming they're not planning on printing over the pocket, because that would, okay, right. So there are 2 ways of, because I would say don't initially. There are 2 ways of doing this. So firstly, what we said about isolating print areas before, the print area on a hoodie that you have a pocket on is slightly smaller, right? So you've got the underneath the neckline here where you've got the toggles and things all the way down to the seam of the pocket. That's your print area. Now, if I was to thread this onto the heat press like this, the front section of the hoodie, this is quite difficult to do sideways, bear with me. So if I was to do that, even if I pulled the seams off the front, the pocket would be on here. Now, the reason that we want to make sure that we're isolating this is because if we put this under the heat press like so, the pressure that we were talking about being so important before would regulate from the highest point on the garment, which is here. And if you're applying a transfer to this section here, it's not going to get the pressure that it needs, and the application won't be 100% accurate. So instead of doing this, there are 2 options. There are a few options, but we're going to go over the main 2 today. So option number 1 is to isolate the print area entirely by swapping out the platen. So what I'm going to do, all Hotronics machines have interchangeable platens. So there's just a little lever underneath here on the side, and then you should be able to just pop that out like so. So you just remove the big platen. Just going to pop this down.
It's worth noting as well, guys, if you are pressing zips and seams on your platen, your customer knows. They can see it. It leaves a mark.
It leaves a horrendous mark. We've all done it.
It looks so unprofessional. They know you're doing it. You need to isolate your print space.
It doesn't look great. So we're going to take this one here, which is a slightly smaller platen. Now, we do have over 14 different sizes and shapes of platen, so you can choose the one that's appropriate for you. This, I believe, is a 28 by 38, and you can just, if you look at the bottom here, they all have the same pin mechanism, right? So you just lock that into here, and you can have it this way if you want, but we're going to put it this way, and then we're going to lock it in place. So straight away, we have reduced the size of our platen. Now, very important thing to note when you're changing platens, when you push it under and lock it, the pressure will inevitably change. So this has gone up ever so slightly. So I'm just going to reduce it. I think is that the right way? No, that's the wrong way. So you have to reduce the pressure or increase the pressure depending on how it works, because you've changed the surface area of what you're fusing onto. So always double check your pressure before you load your garment. So then when I take my hoodie and load it onto the platen, we still use threadability because we've still got the Fusion IQ here. When you load this on, you can see straight away that I have now removed the neckline, but I've also, the seams on the pillow are hanging off the other end. So I've now completely isolated this print area. Now I'm free to do exactly the same thing as I did on the back print, give it a pre-press, pop the design on, release paper, press it, peel it, finished. That is option number one. Option number two, I'm just going to pop my big platen back on. Now this is for more if you don't have a Hotronix heat press, which if you don't, what are you doing? You need to get one. Come on, it's 2024, get with the program. But we are going to be swapping out the interchangeable platen for what we call a heat print pillow. Can I give that to you, Beth, please? Because that's not going to stand up on its own. Thank you. So we're going to put the big platen back on, like so. Now, what I'm going to use is what we call heat printing pillows. Now, if you have been watching our YouTube channel recently, I have been using these quite a lot because we've had them for a while, but people don't necessarily use or talk about them as much. So they do come in different sizes and shapes. I've got the leg and sleeve one here and the big 40 by 50 one, but we do also have a smaller version, which is more of a square, and then like a medium size as well. So lots of options for you. But what this basically does is, for things like zips and seams and pockets, if you place your hoodie onto here and it has something that's a little bit more raised, when the press comes down, it's going to push that raised area into the pillow and even out your pressure. So if we take this hoodie, and again, bear with me loading this on here. I think technically you're supposed to put it on afterwards, but I'm going to try and do it at the same time to increase speed here. There we go. I have actually seen some people actually put the pillows underneath their quick slips before, which is actually a genius idea because then it's just constantly evening out your pressure for you if you need it.
That is such a good hack.
It's genius, isn't it?
God.
Haven't tried it. Maybe we should at the end of this live. I don't know if I'll be able to fit it under, but we'll give it a go. Stay tuned if you want to see me make a fool out of myself on live camera. Okay, so now we've got our pillow under here. And I'm hoping that I'm doing this right. When we put this under here, it will push this extra seam on. And it's not a massive difference in pressure. It's probably like 1 point, but that 1 point will affect the rest of this print. And we don't want that. So taking our release paper, just going to cover the print area. Now, we are going to have to release the pressure quite a bit here because we have just added an extra chunk underneath. So I'm going to give it a couple of turns and check how we're doing. So that's on a 7, which is way too high. That's on a 4, we'll take that. So it's giving its pre-press. And you will hear a bit of air coming out of it initially because it does make that kind of noise when the pillow first gets flattened, but that's normal, that's okay, we're all good. Oh, see, I overpressured it slightly and I put a slight line in it with the paper, but that will come out. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is apply a school logo. You can't really see it, but you will be able to once I've applied it. So I'm going to do this on the left chest, so my placement as accurate as possible.
While you're placing that, Molly, Marcus has popped back up again for the original question asker and has said, I hate the fact that on these hoodies it leaves a horrible square from the platen. That could be overpressuring, Marcus.
I was going to say, yeah, because I mean, I have got a slight line on here because I just
overpressured it.
I tested the pressure with the hoodie on there, which isn't really ideal. But yeah, if you are getting scorch marks, then you probably are overpressuring.
There are some colours as well can be more heat sensitive than others, but there are ways to get around it. You can use grip flex protectors as well.
I would also say as well to leave it 24 hours and then check it the following day. And I know that's not ideal, but some colours, like we've had red hoodies before that we have fused onto, and then after 24 hours the marks have completely come out, and it does just take longer than a few seconds for that colour to come back to life. So it might not be the case of, you know, that garment is no good. It might just need a bit longer to come out, which, you know, if you're packing and shipping the same day is not ideal, and you learn test different garments as you go. But pressure would be my first port of call there.
Just to address a comment as well from, I'm really sorry if I don't pronounce this correctly, Ardnak Sailor Designs. Could I just lock the larger platen horizontally? So that's in relation to isolating the front part of a hoodie.
You could not, because A, it wouldn't fit. So let me do this fuse and then I'll demonstrate that for you because I think it will make some more sense with the visual. So business logo, school logo on one side, and then I've just cut out a couple of letters here from our gang sheet which we produced, and I'm just going to add a little bit of personalization on there as well, which is a really quick way you can increase product value. So chuck it back under there. 10-second fuse, you can hear the squeak on it. So same thing again, temperature is accurate, pressure's on a 4, which is the low end of medium, which if you're struggling with scorch marks, I'd recommend you try and hit a 4. And it beeps to tell us when it's done. Okay, let's remove that. I have scorched this quite badly, guys, I do apologise, but you know, that's what happens when you don't test your pressure before you apply your garment to the press. So we'll learn from that lesson. Right, while that's cooling down, Beth, would you please grab me another garment? It doesn't have to be a hoodie, just anything I can demonstrate with. Okay, so question about turning this big platen horizontally. So when we're talking about lower platens, we always say that you can always shrink the size of your lower platen. Thank you very much. But you can never change the size or shape of the top heating element. This is where your application sits in the heating element. Without this, you don't have a heat press. Now, if I wanted to, say there was a pocket on the front of this, if I wanted to isolate this pocket, I couldn't just turn this one sideways because, number one, it would technically fuse the middle, but you've got bits overhanging at the side, which isn't really recommended. But also, it's way too wide. This sweatshirt is a size large. So if you were fusing onto mediums, and I'm stretching this, like this is not good for the garment. If you were fusing onto like a medium or a small, this would not fit.
And that's adult sizing as well. If you're doing levers, it's likely that you're doing young children's sizes.
So I'm struggling at pulling this on here. So, and like there you go. So even with turning it on its side, I've still got the issue of the shoulder seams here as well. So I can't pull that out enough. And if I pull it up far enough, I'm basically on where the pocket would be. So I can see where your brain went there with why you would want to do that, but no, I would always recommend either getting a pillow, they're not expensive, or if you have a Hotronics, get the interchangeable lower platens, because this is just something that's going to take up more time. You're probably going to ruin more garments through stretching them and scorching them, and eventually you will utilize that lower platen for more than just one thing, I promise you.
Yeah, we've got print perfect pads and heat print pillows on the website from approximately £25. So really an expensive way to do it. And before you get started, quick hello to Philip Molly Jones.
Hi Philip, see you next week at P&P. Right, so let's take our hoodie that we fused. Yeah, there's a bit of a box mark on that. Apologies, people. Right, so that is still a bit warm. Just going to give it another extra second. Yeah, so just to recap, where did I put that? I'll give it to you. The lower platens, they do come in so many different shapes and sizes as well. So even if you don't want to get like a 28 by 38, we do 18 centimeter rounds. We do small 10 by 10s. You can even get a 40 by 40. You could just knock the end off if you know that that's all that you really need. But yeah, when you're purchasing a press, always make sure to go with the top heating element that you know you're going to use forever. This is why we tend to recommend people to go for the bigger size, because you can always change the size and shape of the lower platen, but you can't change the top. So always go as big as you possibly can in your budget and in space-wise in your workshop for the 40 by 50 if possible. This is in the Fusion range and in the Auto and the Maxes. And then you can always change out the bottom. We've had people come to us before and say, oh, I've got a 28 by 38, can I buy the 40 by 40 platen? And we're like, well, you can, but the heating element won't cover enough of the lower platen to warrant having it. So that's just not worth it. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any follow-up questions, do let me know. So just going to pull these off. So number one, and my little letters here. I've done my own initials because, you know, it's my life. So.
Suspicious that, hey?
It's
an M and a H.
I
wonder who that could be.
Whose hoodie is this for? I mean, I don't know if it's straight. I might not wear it, but okay. So there you go. So now that we've got the school's branding on the front and a little bit of personalization on there. So straight away, you've started to create a product that has got increased value on there for customers, right? So you've got the Leavers print on the back, school logo on the front, personalization on the side. Now, while we're on the topic of pillows, let's cover the sleeve print. Now, this is something we haven't actually done in a Leavers video before, and I'm not sure why, but it just came to me this morning. So we're going to give it a go just for the sake of fun. So I'm going to show you how you should have tested the pressure with a pillow before I wreck another part of this garment. So let's use the leg and sleeve, pop it on here. We are literally going to put it on here like this, push it underneath, and this is how you test your pressure, not with the garment under the heating element. So we're going to release the pressure of this up quite a bit, pull it down. That's on a 0, so we'll tighten it up a bit more. Still on a 0. This pillow's probably not got as much pad to it as the other one because it's a lot smaller. So all of this time that I'm adjusting is time that your garment should not be under the heat press. So that was quite a few hits that I gave it before actually doing the fuse. That's on a 3. So by the time we put the garment under that, it'll be fine. And that has completely squished the pillow. So that's nearly flat now. But that will puff, that's puffing back up again straight away, you can see. So let's take the sleeve of our hoodie. Now this is just another way that you can utilize pillows. So we do have a leg sleeve platen as well, but we don't have one to hand today. So I'm just going to use this pillow. So insert this all the way to the end of the arm.
If you do decide to go ahead, no, if you do decide that you want to include leg and sleeve prints, it is definitely easier to just whack a platen on there every time without having to fight with the hoodie.
And also I will say as well, it's one of those things where like you do it and then all of a sudden now I'm like, right, what do I do with the rest of this? So it is easier to have something that's secure and holds it on there. But pillows are fantastic and they do work very well. So we're going to pop that on there and I'm going to preheat it. So pop it back underneath. Lovely. Put it on 10 seconds. Right. So that is the preheat, and I'm just going to hold this because it's going to fall off anyway. So place that on there, and then I'm going to apply my design. Is that too near the edge of the pillow? That might be actually. So it's worth noting that obviously you need the pillow to be flat on the area that you want to fuse on and not like on the edge of it, because then the pressure again won't be 100% right. So bear with me, I'm just going to adjust that.
Phil has confirmed we will see him next week at Printwear and Promotion.
I hope we're seeing a lot of our other live, oh, there goes the release paper, a lot of our other live followers at P&P as well.
Stand D30, come and see us.
Stand D30, we will be there printing lots of things. Come and get free goodies from us if you sign up.
Heat transfer sample packs.
Heat transfer sample packs. We have other goodies, but we're not going to give it away. Right, Beth,
would you like me to grab it for you?
I would, please, yeah, because if I move, I'm going to drop this on the floor. Thank you. Okay, so release paper, same thing, cold peel transfer. We don't want that going anywhere. Pushing it underneath. 10-second fuse. These letters have no correlation either, so this is going to be a very random word, whatever it is.
She didn't choose MH this time.
No, there's too many involved, so just cut a strip down the side. Okay, and then we just wait for that to cool down. I will recommend that you pull the pillow out because the pillow does retain heat. And because this is a cold peel transfer, we want to make sure that we're giving it, where's the bottom? All of the chance it can to cool off. So just chuck that to the side, let the sleeve print cool down. And then the last thing I'm going to do today, ow, that's hot, is a neck label. So have we got a little platen or something? Actually, that one that's on there will probably do, to be honest.
Which one?
That one.
Okay, yeah.
I reckon I'll use that one. We'll let that cool.
No, I'll get you the 10x10.
Okay. If anyone has got any further questions, it doesn't have to be about Leavers. It could be about the presses, the transfers, the trade shows. Do drop them in the comments. Oh, it's over there. Thank you. Okay, right. Apologies if I do have a little bit of a dodgy voice and a cough today. We've all had a bit of a cold this week. So removing the lower platen again, I'm just going to pop this out like so. And then I'm going to put the teeny tiny, where did I put it here? 10x10. So this is the 10x10 size platen that we have. And as you can see, the mechanism on the back is exactly the same. So we lock her in just like that. And again, I'm going to test the pressure first. So there's no pressure on that at all. Wind it up. Nope. There's a big difference between different platens with pillows and very little platens.
Now, if you're thinking this is a bit of a faff changing all these patterns constantly, think about it in terms of like a production workflow. You do all your neck labels in one go. You do all your back prints in one go. You switch your pattern. You do your front prints, your chest prints, that kind of thing. It's actually really, really simple.
You don't do the back print of a hoodie, then the front print, then the personalization, then the neck label, then do the next hoodie. That's, completely right. You do all of the back prints, all the front prints, and just make it a lot more efficient. And then that way you only have to do this change a couple of times a day, depending on how many jobs you're working through. So that makes it super easy. So I'm going to try and peel this sleeve before we move on. Just going to do that. Lovely. Okay, so there you have custom sleeve print. I mean, that makes no sense. That's not a word, but shows the point.
Aflov.
Aflov, great name. That's it. Personalized hoodie for Aflov. So straight away there, you've customized a little bit of extra for your Leavers garment. So you don't necessarily have to do it on the front. You could just do the sleeve print.
I really like that sleeve print. I mean, aside from the random assortment of letters, that is quite retail.
Unique way to do Leavers, yeah. So the next thing we're going to do is the neck label. Now, if I am correct, the Just Hoods hoodies do have removable neck labels. So you just pull them out and you can rebrand. So I'm going to hook the inside of this over the 10 by 10 and isolate the print area. Again, we're just making sure that all of this excess hood and the toggles at the front are out of the way. Make sure that we're fully isolating the area. Just being a perfectionist now, don't mind me. And now we're going to pre-press. And because we've already tested, we know that our pressure is accurate. Got a bit of excess hoodie going on here. Still a bit light.
Because it's not slid all the way under.
I know. Thing is, I don't think. There we go. We're good. Right, pre-press. That's probably a bit too much for pre-press. Right, removal of release paper. And now we're going to use our neck labels. So I've got a couple of options here, but I'm just going to use, for the argument's sake of the example, this size one so you can actually see what is going on. So this isn't going to be the straightest thing in the world because I am doing them all at the same time, and in an ideal world you wouldn't. I've also got a sizing here, so it says medium. And then we do also have in our template one that says your logo here, so you can put your brand on it as well, which is good for maximizing chances of getting new orders or people like asking for business referrals and things like that. Push it all the way in. And fuse for, that's on pre-press. Let's just change that to 10 seconds. Fuse for 10 seconds for the main fuse.
For those of you that didn't know, we do offer a free Leavers template. So I'm going to drop the comment in the, I'm going to drop the link in the comments for YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. And for anyone on Instagram, just head to our website, you'll find it.
Okay, so that's the neck label done. I'm just going to lift that off, let it cool down. So you can see we've got the inside there ready to be done. We're just going to let it cool and then we will be good. So yes, as Beth said, we do have the free template. You can go online and download it for free. We don't charge anything for this, and it is on our Leavers page. So not only do you get the template, but there's some helpful videos on there going through kind of what we've gone through today, plus a little bit about how to maximize the template. Andy has also done a very, very good artworking tutorial, so it shows you exactly how to use the template and how to change colors as well. So I know I said at the start of this live, we have the full color transfer option, so make sure to utilize that in your products. Andy shows you how you can change the gradients in it, how you can change the colors. We have had some really cool, wacky Leavers designs in the past with like actual prints in the back. So many different things that you can do. And I always recommend that even if your customer ends up going with the classic one color, white or black print, always show them the options that you can do with full color, because it just makes you seem like much more of an advanced printer. It makes you look like you know what you're doing, which you do because you've got styles supporting you. So you are the most educated and informed heat printers in the UK. And yeah, it just means that you're more likely to get that job if they have that confidence in you. So always recommend showing them everything that you can do. You can even just do mock-ups. You haven't got to take the actual prints in with you. Just use the templates. Okay, let's see if she's cold enough yet. I think we might be okay. I'm going to put the big platen back on actually for ease of peel. So it's super easy just to lift these out and change them. Go, lock it in. Okay, let's see if she's good to go. Yep. Perfect. So if you can see from here, we now have our inside neck label. So again, placement isn't perfect. I would have liked to have done these separately and made them a bit more neat and aligned, but for argument's sake, you can see what comes on the template for our Leavers design. So you can put your sizing in there. And then, like I said, we do also have this transfer here, which says your logo here, but you can just use your company branding if you want to, if you've already got some of them. So yeah, that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover today for Leavers. So we've done multiple placements. We've covered how to isolate print areas. We've covered how to add personalization. We've covered how to add branding, sizing, things like that. Do we have any further and final questions before we end today's live? It's been 45 minutes.
No, I think we're good to go.
Perfect. Well, in that case, thank you very much to everyone for joining me for today's live video. Make sure to join me next Friday because we have a very exciting guest in the house. Andy and I are going to be joined by Dave Connor from Transfer Express. He is coming over here to join us at Printwear and Promotion, and he's stopping by the Innovation Centre first to join us for our Friday live. So if you don't attend that one, what are you doing? That's probably going to be the best live of the year, so you need to join it. And yeah, if you don't already have tickets for Printwear and Promotion, they are free, but you do have to pre-register. So if I can kindly ask Beth to drop the link to the sign up in the chat, you can go online and register for that. So we have a sign-up page on the Styles UK website. If you just fill out that form, we'll send you a link to register for P&P, and we'll send you a QR code to pick up your free sample pack at the event. You do need to have registered with Styles to pick up your free sample pack, so just keep that in mind. And I think that's everything. We will see you at Printwear and Promotion a week on Sunday. I was going to say tomorrow. We go the day before. We'll see you on the Sunday. Yeah, and in the meantime, make sure you're following all our socials and subscribed to whatever channel